who is your next biggest priority? Is it a center back? Is it a winger? Is it, a striker? Where are you going next?
Everything changes, man. Everything changes. I think maybe a week ago, maybe just a week ago, feels like time's moving so slowly. I think that Upamecano was a big one for me. But again, it's all based on these movements. Certainly, if we lose Alaba, I think that he would have to be priority, which kind of stinks to me because I don't want to make another center back priority. But if we lose Alaba, we got to go out and get somebody. I think that we're fine fullback
The
wise.
understanding is that we're also losing Boateng as well.
Right. Yeah. Again, is that going to happen? I think that Flick. The interesting thing is, I think Flick likes both Boateng and Alaba. But yeah, it's tough. But yeah, I mean, my big three, like I've said all along, Upamecano, Sane, and then Kai would be third on that. Still rate Kai just slightly above Werner, just on the current roster and lineups. But
And being like 4 years younger doesn't hurt.
yeah, but I think it's all ever changing, really day to day right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that order. You don't want to be forced into a move for Upamecano. Not that he's not worth being a Bayern player, or he's a world-class player, but I'd rather just keep Alaba and move a defender farther down the list on that. I mean, we've said it for years that we need a solid group of wingers. If you have Alaba, you have Hernandez, and you get Zula back, and you have Pavard, and then you have Davies, and then Kimmich occasionally as well. That's like 6 guys that you can rotate between those sort of 4 back positions. A couple of those guys can play multiple positions, and a couple of those guys can play multiple positions on that back line. So, your Kimmich and your Alabas and your Davies can all play beyond that back line, but then Pavard and Hernandez and Alaba, who can play wherever he wants, basically. That gives you a lot of variety. I think having those 6 guys would be enough, even with some of the injury concerns of Hernandez and Zula coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I feel like we've said this. I feel like we finally have the defensive pieces that we need, and as you alluded to, like they're so interchangeable that we have been able to make do with injuries. Like this is probably the deepest as far as fullbacks go that we've been in a long time.
Yeah.
Because you have somebody like Hernandez, brilliant left back, and that's when you have David Alaba, probably the best left back in the world, and Davies, who is one of the best young left backs in the world. So,
right.
Historically, the left has been where we've kind of been weak, which I think is why Alaba's been stuck back there for a while. I mean, you had your Juan Bernat. That's about it. Whereas out right, you had Lam, and then you had his heir, Kimmich, and then you also had Rafinha, who highly underrated.
Had to be moved to left back.
Yeah.
To compensate for the
misbalance, right.
Right, and Bernat was even hurt for some of that time as well. So
I feel like we finally have those pieces, but now a lot of that might be in jeopardy. I think it's interesting too. We assume Davies wants to continue to play left back, and that's where Flick wants him to be, because there's always the talk about we're going to push him higher now. We wanted to play him left back right now to get continue to build tactical skills, but we really want to continue to push him forward. So that would be the other thing. Is do we decide to maybe not splash for Leroy Sane and say we're going to really rely on Davies more, and maybe get a more under the radar winger who could still come in and have a big impact.
Right.
There's a lot of different names that have floated around, instead of paying that big money on Sane, who the board doesn't seem to be fully convinced of. But I was just looking up back to Upamecano. I think the buyout clause is $80 million. I just don't see that. I really don't see any club splashing that on a center back. When you saw the backlash we got on Lucas, and I know there's the injury concerns with that. So you take that as you will, but I just don't see 80 mil even for how good he is.
Well, and given the current financial circumstances in the world, you better be buying somebody really good. Not that Upamecano's not a good player, but like, is he that level, right? Because now we're equating 80 million to 130 million of in a normal transfer. Like if this coronavirus had never happened, 80 million is one thing, but it would have been the equivalent of dropping 130 mil, which Bayern last season in the summer wasn't willing to go do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the ideal situation, I think that he stays at Leipzig. Um, and then we just splash later if we absolutely have to. um,
I mean,
the
they got
common theme right now, honestly, I want the guy to stay in the Bundesliga, stay where you are, where you can continue to develop. He's going to be able to be, he's a phenomenal center back for them, and he'll continue to get to be that if he stays there. Same thing with Havertz. I think you really blow that opportunity if they go elsewhere. If Havertz ends up Premier League, he ends up in Spain.
You mean you don't think that he'll be able to return to Bayern?
Yeah, I don't think that Bayern will be able to pick him up.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, my preference would be if we're just going out and getting one piece, that we go out and get Leroy Sane, partially because I think that's the biggest need we have is a legit wing option. Obviously there's injury concerns there. There's injury concerns with Koeman, but having those guys, and then maybe we re-sign or we finalize the deal for Perisic, get some depth there. But the way I also look at it is a little selfish as a Bundesliga fan, let Kai stay, let Timo stay, let Upamecano stay, and let's downgrade one of the teams in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a little selfishness for the Bundesliga because I'd like those teams to stay as competitive and against the other teams in the league and in the world for international competitions.
Oh yeah, and I think for the player development, again, I've said the same thing with Jadon Sancho. It's best for him to stay in that Dortmund system. He's thriving. He's looking better and better every week. And why go? Unless you're going to the Premier League for a long-term project to rebuild a team, it's tough. I don't see him developing at the pace that he is at a place where he's really thriving. Like if you get to a point where you feel like you've really reached that point to go to the Premier League and be a star and maybe pull United up by the bootstraps, you've earned the right to go try to do that. But I think at the young age, continue development. Like he's so young.
Yeah.
Why push that? Risk that going, and stunt your growth as a lot of players have done. Said the same thing about Pulisic when he left.
Right, and he's still younger. You could still spend what is he? Probably 3 years younger than Pulisic. He could spend another 3 years at Dortmund and still go to the Premier League at the same point in his career.
He's 21, 22.
Easily have 6 solid years of top level performance, at the Premier League, if that's where he wanted to be. And I can understand that as an England player wanting to play there and everything. But I mean, you're already at a very good spot with Dortmund. You're clearly their best player, clearly their top performer. You could have a full season with, a legitimate striker. They have other weapons in Brandt, who's coming along, Thorgan Hazard. You have, Reina coming in. Royce is still there for at least a little bit more of his career. They're developing center backs with Zagadou and everything. And then you get another season with Witzel and another season Foley with Emre Can and everything. Like, this is a team that will give you the opportunity, and you've already proven that with him. I do hope that they're able to find either a replacement or be able to sign Hakimi. I do worry about him going back to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think that's going to be about a done deal. But we'll see. I
mean, they got 3 right backs over there. Hopefully they favor Odriozola and Danny Carvajal, and maybe Hakimi can stay because he's great on that right side with Sancho.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to digest, to break down all these young players. But I agree. I think a lot of these moves are going to be halted. Maybe reassess things, think about things.